Test, test.
Yeah, she's out driving, so she's driving. Do it better. Could have been a lot worse, we're trying to tell you. Well, she, was always taking, been active, exercise. Yeah, but I used to walk with you years ago before Wayne started getting sick. And she got walking.
Where she live out there?
She walked fast, really, too. Anyway. She's got patience to develop.
I know you're not. It's all about they got to straighten out the seat. And if they go to correct, so it's certain things.
Yeah. Especially you on the receiving end of it.
Attorney, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I have to just-
Too much that I do with that.
He goes to the grocery store, he goes to the grocery one, he goes to the post office, but he's driving. Other than that, it's about all we got. That we, names. Bring him on to the doctor's office. That's all.
It's always got.
That's what we do. Right before lunch, right after lunch.
Alright. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is May 5th, 2025. This is the City of Camilla work session. We're here on the first floor here at City Hall. And at this time, I'd like to ask our interim city manager and office city clerk, Cheryl Ford, and actually here at the work session, there's no need to call the roll. How about that? All right, council, at this time, is there a motion well, let me do this. So council, as you're aware, this weekend I sent you an email. And what I mentioned in the email was that I was gonna ask to amend the agenda tonight. So if there's objection, I wanna lead with that, asking for that particular motion. And depending on how that goes, then we can go ahead and move forward. So council, at this time, is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted with adding the consideration as an action item tonight, the consideration of amending the position and classification plan to match the financial services line on our position classification plan that is currently not funded at a pay grade of 19. And based on the email that I sent, the starting salary will be at the mid-range of that. Will be in the mid-range after that. So if there's a motion to amend the agenda as submitted or as presented, adding the consideration of amending the position and classification plan to add an assistant city clerk using the pay band for financial services, which is currently not funded, but at a pay grade of 19, starting in the mid-range. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to consider that item? Motion is properly second. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, council. At this time, are there any speaker appearances?
Evening.
Evening, sir.
I am Jerome Chester, 115 Lincoln Street, Camilla, Mayor One, City Council, staff members. I have attended several events over the years at the depot. Most recently, about 2 weeks ago, Ernest Finch 80th birthday party. I was very impressed with the improvements that have been made with the depot over the years. I was improved with comfort, I was impressed with the conference room, the kitchen area, the entire structure, but especially the bathroom. And I asked a female to go in the female bathroom. It seems as though yours have made some major renovation in the restaurant. And I was impressed with the restaurant. When I go to the restaurant, before I order, I go to the restaurant. The restaurant tell me how the kitchen may look, not how the food that's straight to my hand. I want to commend you all for the work you've done with the depot. I do have one question. I don't expect you to answer it. Last year, or over the years, how much money have you all spent with the upgrades of the depot? I mean, I was really impressed with those upgrades. And everyone I spoke with was impressed, especially the females. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome, and Coach, I'll tell you, I cannot give you the exact number in terms of the amounts. Obviously, I don't have that in front of me. What I can, and what I'm excited to share with you, though, is that the city of Camilla took over the depot about a couple of years ago, and all of the, prior to 2 years ago, all of the revenue that was made there did not come to the city. So when we assumed the responsibility for the depot or the management of the depot, obviously all of the rental fees at that particular time came back to the city. So I'm excited to say that the majority, if not all, of the upgrades you see there were self-funded from the proceeds from the depot. I think last week was probably the first time, this past weekend actually, was probably the first time in a fairly long time that the depot wasn't rented. We're doing very well over there, and 2 weeks ago, you would not have seen the deck. So you get an opportunity tonight, leave here, swing by and have a look at the new deck. We are making a concerted effort to upgrade city facilities here in the city. And I will tell you, Coach, that I would love for the URA who manages the depot to take full credit for that. I would love that. But the reality is, this is what was mentioned in our comprehensive plan, that we needed to take care better of our city-owned facilities. And we took that charge, and that's what we're doing. So that's just the start. You should see other upgrades at the stadium and other city-owned property, to include A. McNeil and a couple more. So we're very proud about that. So thank you for noticing and mentioning it tonight. All right. Any other speaker appearances? All right. So going into our first action item, which is obviously, if you're following on the agenda, it's an important item here, not only in our community, but our country, and I would say that's extended to the world. Mental health is extremely important. So all that we do here in the community, and we should applaud all of the individuals and professionals that operate in that field. It is tremendously appreciated. And as many of you know, there's been a partnership started with some of our regional police departments to be available. So when police officers come across a person that may be having a mental issue versus a criminal issue, or a criminal issue that is preceded by a mental issue, there's a professional available to help walk us through that, or help walk those officers through it. That's good for the community, that's good for the person, and that's also good, obviously, for our officer. So appreciate that, and this is one of the reasons why tonight we are recognizing Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month here in the city of Camilla. This is a proclamation, and I've said this before, Proclamations can be signed by the mayor's office without council input, but with something this serious, I like bringing this downstairs to the council so that we can let the community know how serious as a city we take this. And council, without any objection, I want to read this proclamation to the record. We do have some of our awesome mental health professionals here today. So with that, council, if there's no objection, proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas a lack of mental health awareness leads to devastating impacts on the well-being of individuals and communities. And whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there is a strong research that animal companionship, humor, spirituality, religion, recreation, social connections, and work-life balance can help all Americans protect their health and well-being. And whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, individuals with mental health and other chronic health conditions can work towards leading full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health problems and has responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now therefore, I, Kevin M. Owens, Mayor of the City of Camilla, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Camilla, Georgia, and call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Camilla to be affixed this 5th day of May, 2025, Kevin M. Owens, Mayor. And council, is there a motion to accept this proclamation as presented?
So moved. Second.
Motion properly second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And at this time, we have some of our awesome mental health professionals here in the region and in our county here with us today. And you guys want to come up? You have a couple words?
Sure. Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Lane. I'm the Director of Commission County Mental Health. I'm here with our co-responder, Megan, and our DDHGD partner, Mr. Todd Jones. Thank y'all for the warm welcome. 76 years ago, Mental Health America started Mental Health Awareness Month in an effort to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and increase access for mental health treatment. This annual observance encourages open dialogue, community action, and the recognition of mental health as an essential part of overall well-being. Thank y'all for having us. I brought some Metro County mental health flyers. If you don't mind passing them to your fellow councilmen and women. My cell phone is on the back if you ever have any problems. If you have a family member or a friend that needs any services, our services are for mental health, substance abuse, and IDD as well. Thank y'all for having us.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And I think we have, I asked our awesome friends I told them, I said, now this is the work session. Typically, we don't have our ties on today. And I told them that if you need me to, give me a call and I'll throw my suit on and I'll come over. I did it last year. And I'll do it again this year. So if you don't mind, what I would like to do in a more formal way is bring this to you guys this week, before the week is out.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll give you a call.
Okay, perfect. And that way we can send us an awesome picture up to the staff that obviously partner, with you. And I would encourage, city council, when I do head over there, I'll give you guys a couple heads up if you want to meet me over there also. But just know either way, this city supports everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item 2, TTL Inc. proposal support services at Sprayfield. Luke Cheryl, which one y'all want to leave that off?
So as we mentioned a couple of meetings ago, we are requiring additional, work out the spray bills. And this is the result of an inspection that occurred, so I've been in contact with Chad actually before the meeting even started, just to make sure that I was clear. I knew we had to do action items 1 through 4. There's an optional action item for the abandonment of the wells that he is not got a response back from EPD yet. But I mean, we've got to do this work. The wells are dry, we're not able to monitor the water quality out there, and that's unacceptable to EPD. So what we're looking at is either drilling the existing wells deeper to hit the water table, or either having to drill new wells. We don't know yet, but this proposal covers all that. So what I would ask is for y'all to approve all items, because the optional action item, which is a well abandonment, EPD has not formally given him a response as to whether or not we actually have to do that. So if they say we do, then I need to be able to move forward with that.
I had a question, and it's from, I don't think these pages are numbered, but if you look, yeah, page 4, okay. It's under the survey category. It says TTL has assumed the city of, will contract with the land surveyor. Cost for surveying the 5 replacement monitoring wells is not included. Should we add to this, I mean, the total, I added them up, I got 101,665. Do we need to add the cost for surveying from this on page 4? I don't know how much that would cost.
He didn't mention us having a survey. I don't know if that's just part of what TTL proposed, but I mean, Chad's very.
I'm not familiar with it, that's why I was asking, because I totally think we need to do
You know, I mean,
what's here, but if we're gonna have to pay for something else down the road, we wanna go ahead and put that in as well. I don't know, your thoughts?
Yeah, so part of this is identifying what the problem is and increasing the amount of not inspections, but samples that we receive. Right now, we're doing it quarterly. The idea is to start doing this month. And if you see the date on this is from almost 3 years ago.
2023,
You know what I mean?
the letter.
Yes. So this was proposed, so what you're looking at is an updated proposal. So when we did the work out at Sprayfield, these elements were not, this should have been included. And it wasn't, for whatever reason. It didn't make it to this council. Cheryl, being as awesome as she is, what you're looking at is the result of the city manager monitoring pay receipts for pump repairs. Further research is what got us here. So, yeah, I know. So Cheryl's due diligence and wanted to know, why are we paying for pump repairs? Help unearth this previous document. We had a conference call with EPD roughly 10 days ago, 2 weeks. Myself, Luke, Cheryl, Al, I think was on that call.
And Chad.
Garibaldi and Chad. The EPD has told us, and again, everybody, you have nothing to worry about. I want to make sure I get that out there. We were good. What the EPD is saying, how you monitor, I need for you to tighten that up. the, this is part of doing that. And they're telling us by the 13th, I think by next Tuesday, they want to make sure that the council has approved this, because this is part of our action plan. EPD is good with this action plan. They don't have any problem with that. Again, everybody, the city is fine. You're straight. But EPD, environmental protection, there are specific mechanisms that we have in place that we need to follow. Again, quarterly samples, knock that out of the park. EPD says you guys need to do that monthly. No problem. We'll be meeting with the person that pulls these samples for us hopefully this week. And based on the council's approval of this tonight, we will package this up, give it to EPD, and they've said you're fine. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, I just like, it says that they assume that we will contract with a land surveyor after the well thing is done. So like I said, I still want us to be hit with another $20,000 expense.
No, so in order to get to that point,
We gotta get this point.
we have to get this point done first.
And Travis can probably ballpark that, I should have it about the
All right, that,
He has not mentioned that, which is kind of unusual that he would go ahead and point that out.
it just like, it just says you gotta get with somebody and get it done, so that the cost word includes that, so I'll probably question there.
Yeah.
Any,
He mentioned as well, optional action item, the number 4 or number 5, I'm sorry. We wouldn't know if we would need that until
Until you do the other.
we do number 4.
So, if we approve the total cost.
Yeah.
And we don't need number
Yeah.
that one, that could go towards the survey.
Indeed.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal. Is it too soon to do that?
No, but again, I just want to follow up on Cheryl's deal, because I want to make sure that, again, I'm gonna say, I think I've said it 3 times already before. Water's good here in City of Camilla, everybody. I want to say that one more time. All right, good deal. Now, we can, so at this time, council, is there a motion? Pending, city attorney's review to approve, this contract with TTL to perform, this work, indicated, and because of the number, you said it, Councilmember, $101,000. This, we're treating this as a sole source deal, for these folks to do this work for us, so that everybody understands as it relates to, with this being over $100,000. We'll treat this as a sole source, as recommended by our engineer, Chad, with Stillwater. All right, so is there a motion to approve TTL Inc. proposal as submitted, contingent upon review of the city attorney?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, is there properly second? Any other discussion? No. And if it wasn't inherent, and authorize the mayor to sign. Still good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a motion, is properly second? Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Councilman. All right, item 3, flock camera system. Chief, are you available?
Yes, sir.
So Chief, if you don't mind, if you can just, we got Investigator Hall here
I
also.
brought him, he knows more about this too, so.
Indeed. Chief, Captain Hall, if you can just explain to the council and the citizenry why you believe this system will help you out in the job that you do in your office.
Okay, we had first started talking about the flock camera system probably over a year ago when we first approached about this. For those that don't know about the flock camera system, I'm sure you've probably seen it riding down the roads and may not know what it is. They're the cameras you see out, they have a solar panel on top of them around different highways. It is a LPR system. It basically runs car tags, takes pictures of them. And it's used basically all across the country. They use them for Amber Alerts. You may have a relative that has early stages of dementia, something like that, and they may get lost, disappear. We can enter this information into the system. If they get lost out on the roadway, if they cross that camera system, it will automatically send an alert within 6 seconds to a local law enforcement. They know they're in the area, they immediately start looking for them. Child abductions, anything such as that nature. If they cross these cameras, it immediately alerts law enforcement within 6 seconds. It does tell you coming in if a vehicle does not have insurance, if the driver is wanted, if the vehicles are stolen coming into your city. But it is also a tool used to help us recover stolen vehicles. Matter of fact, we had just this last week, a vehicle up on Butler Street was stolen. We had it recovered in Albany within an hour and a half using flock out of Albany. We entered it in, Albany had it within an hour and a half on flock. They had a shooting in Pelham, was it a couple of weekends ago? Yep. And flock camera out in front of the prison caught the vehicle by the description of the vehicle coming by their camera that is set up outside their road. We knew it didn't leave Mitchell County because it never passed one of the cameras out in the county.
And these cameras sheet belong to the county.
They're the counties.
Okay.
There's none in the city.
Okay.
But we knew it didn't leave Mitchell County. Didn't know where it went. But we was able to locate it about 5 o'clock in the morning in the city limits. Juveniles were involved in it. And we would really love to get the system in the city limits. And plus, one of the things we were gonna get with it is the gunshot detector. The gunshot detector, when it activates, if there's a gunshot within the area, it'll get us within 50 feet of where the gunshot actually took place. Immediately dispatch an officer to it. You don't have to wait for somebody to call or get involved. It will dispatch that officer immediately over the computer. And going back to October, we had one that murder up there on, was it? On the north side. A young man was shot in the street. He lay there 20 minutes before anybody called. Nobody called about the gunshot. Nobody called about him laying there. Gunshot detective would have notified us immediately about the gunshot. I mean, that's really what, that's what we're trying to do. I know it's expensive. We're just trying to, sheriff said, I think the sheriff's got 15 of them in the county. He said he'd love to have about 15 or 20 more. We're starting off, I think when they came in and did our evaluation looking, they recommended 16 in the city. We cut the number back, trying to make it affordable. I know the highest, the most expensive thing is the gunshot detector. But we need one of those in town. But that's basically what it is.
Another feature that, I called and spoke to Sheriff Bozeman about it myself, and this system shares with everybody in the state that's got one. He said that we have some stolen equipment out of the county and a flock camera in Cordele picked it up. So that's another big plus is and like you said, the Albany cameras got
Yeah,
Same
and it connects with GCIC and NCIC. And Flock is, company is stationed out of Atlanta. I mean, it is a Georgia company, but they're run all over all of the United States.
Indeed. And Chief, just on the, I want to address, just in case it comes up, how many officers are you short right now?
We're 4 short right now.
4 short. And typically, what are we starting an officer with right now?
A certified officer like 2189 to just under 22 an hour.
All right. Council, any other questions for Chief? Or Cap Hall?
Mine, kind of go and play with the gunshot detector. Just interested, I know we had the incident on the north side, earlier in the year, but what are just the numbers showing on just gun-related incidents, in general across the city?
Well, we get them periodically. They're in the reports about the gunshot calls that we get because 911, when they dispatch, I'd have to go back and look exactly. But I mean, we do get the calls. But we know there's some that they don't call them out at all. You know, they just don't even call. This will send us there, period. You know, they're gonna go respond, whether anybody calls or not.
And then, I do have questions just about the feature itself. Are there reps, speaking with reps from Flock too?
No.
Okay.
But what you can do, whatever that question is, we can get that to them.
Okay. Yeah, it was just with, I guess it's some of the icons, some of the features we see, so.
Oh, on the PowerPoint?
Right.
John, you want to go ahead and mention that you need one additional camera?
Oh, yeah, we did in talking with them today, discovered that there is a need to put one on 19 North coming in just north of Tyson. There is a need to have one on the north side coming in, but there is not one on 19 North coming into Mitchell County.
So the counties is on the south side, because
They had one on the south side, but when they was putting theirs in, they didn't have the set number.
gotcha,
And that's
so they put it
just,
on the south.
they didn't have one.
And Doherty County's got one,
Doherty County has,
so we want one about halfway, which
right,
would be around Tyson,
right.
which would make it in the city
Now,
limits.
we could move it on out, on up the road,
Well, it needs to be in the city limits.
Right. but, and that's the reason we put it there.
Okay.
How many are you talking about, Chief?
That would put us 11.
And $20.
It's gonna make it right at 80 if you add
It'd
another
be
3,000.
70, it'd be around 79.
Yeah, right at 80.
Yeah, but the shot protector itself is around 35.
And you talking about one of those?
One of those.
It only covers 1 square mile.
And they gave us a really good deal on some installation.
Yeah, they waive all
they
the
have really,
installation costs.
which is like $300 a camera.
Per camera.
And that's a one-time thing, you know, we pay that the first year, but they, according to the thing we got, they waived most of that.
Yeah, they waive that, and then my understanding is, you know, if it tears up, whatever comes, it's there, they come in and replace
And being in Georgia, the response time is really quick.
Now, do we own these or are we gonna be leasing these? What's?
it. Well, if you pay that year, so if something happens to it, they come in and replace it with.
Okay, so
They
they.
own, I would
They own,
think they
yeah.
own, we're paying them this big about 80,000 a year.
And the software, everything, it's on them to come in and replace and upgrade. So there's no cost to the city as far as that, to repair.
One shot protector does the whole city.
No.
1 mile. 1 square mile.
But they offer to split it up, instead of just one, they're gonna do it in a couple parcels, is it 3, 2, 3?
However we.
However we want it, but you're not set to this by this, they'll split that up.
So if you have a hot area in this little area neighborhood, and you don't need, say, a half a mile covered here, you can go move another half a mile square over here, and they'll cover it that way. You don't have to say put 1 mile in one generator. that didn't matter.
So is this, I have a question about the intent plus the shock detector piece.
Well, this is one thing, do not lose your train of thought, Council. Do not lose your train of thought, please. But I had Flock on the phone, and then she's on that Brittany, and she's willing to answer that question. I don't really want you to have to wait for that. Brittany, can you hear us?
Yes, can you relay the question?
Yes, so the original question I had as far as the icons are just, I saw one that was just a general red camera. And then there were some green icons, and then it looked like potentially like a video as well. And then one, I guess this may be the shock detector, it was like a cluster. It was only one of those on the map. So just to understand the functions of those three icons and the intent.
Okay. So Brittany, one icon is a red camera. Do you have any indication what that may be?
Okay, so when you're looking at the map, there might be potentially, so you've got the black box, inside the black box is would be the Raven devices, and there'll be multiple devices. They're pretty small, the size of a coffee cup. If the cameras are red, they're license plate reader cameras. If they are green, they're live view cameras.
Got it. So, and that is that cluster for Raven, council member. That's the gunshot detector.
So what we've done on the map is we've specifically placed live view and license plate reader cameras to ensure that anyone that enters the streets where gunshots could be shot, you would capture every plate, and then you could go back and watch the live view to determine who might have potentially pulled the trigger, if they had any accomplices, things like that.
Perfect. And I think another part of the live view, correct me if I'm wrong, Brittany, it also gives 911 or that officer an opportunity to see what's happening there before they arrive on the scene.
Yes, sir. So it's 30-day retention on the live view cameras. The second that shots are fired, there will be an alert sent to dispatch or anyone that is monitoring the Flock system. If someone is getting alerts, they can get it on their phone. They immediately can tap into it, look at the license plate reader, tap into the live view camera, watch what is going on before they arrive on scene. There was actually an incident that happened in a different city, well, it was Arkansas to be exact, but unfortunately, shots were being fired and the ambulance arrived before the police officer. It ended up being very scary for the ambulance, and so one of the things that they had implemented, just for the safety of everybody involved, is with an LPR and a live view, that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Of course.
And everybody obviously didn't know Councilmember Morgan was going to ask that question, but at 6:38 at night, Brittany was prepared to answer the phone, and she didn't know I was calling. And I think it's another indication of who this company is. But while I have her on the phone, anybody got any questions for Brittany?
I think just the final piece for clarity on the icons, the multi-dotted one, that is the shock detector.
Right.
And so I heard mention about this being adjustable and has the ability to move, is that correct? Like, would this be able to be
The green ones do.
the green one?
The green ones. You see it?
Right.
We can move for PTZs and people can, zoom. So like if a shot is fired, then those will automatically track a vehicle or person in that area and stay on until it goes outside.
Got it. So I guess what I'm trying to understand too, is this enough, would this be enough coverage that's already presented? Because from this look, it only looks like it's covering just a certain section. I'm wondering what if an incident happens, just kind of further back out of this purview, will that camera still detect that?
Yeah, I think that the robust nature of this system is the ability to identify. So if you get an identification of a vehicle that wasn't near a camera. The police officer, knowing the description of the vehicle, can enter that information into the system. And another camera or cameras could pick up that particular vehicle. Am I saying that right?
Or the tag group.
Yeah, or the tag reader. So that's where the robust nature of the system is, that you don't really need to know what the tag number was. If you got a general description of the vehicle, its color, this camera has the sophistication to decipher that, if you will.
You can actually put in like a bumper sticker.
Mm.
Or the same on the bumper sticker, and it'll look for all those bumper stickers in the area. Or damage on the vehicle.
I hate to belabor on it just a little bit, and it's hard to, I guess, are you seeing the map as well?
No, but I pretty much know what you're talking about.
So essentially, if a shot is also fired on West Bennett or Roosevelt, is this picking that up?
That's gonna be too far.
Yeah, so
From where it's at. And the reason is, we can't, now, unless we cut that area down some and put one there. But you know, it's where we get the most shot calls at, it's where we're putting it for right now. I mean, that's where we get them.
We would love to have them all over the city.
But at $35,000 a pop, how many can we afford?
Yeah.
That's what you're asking.
Sure.
And that's my concern as well. I feel that if we're going to protect the city, we need to invest in it. I understand, I'm
not opposed.
I'm looking at the diagram, and I feel Councilman Morgan as well. I know how the dynamics of this work, but at the end of the day, as Councilman Morgan said, what if something happened over Roosevelt? What if something happened over there? They have to come into this area. So you're gonna get picked up. What if they go out on 97?
We got LPRs gonna be.
But I'm just saying, you know, I just feel like if we're going to do it, let's.
Sure. No, go ahead. Yeah, give me 1 second, Brittany.
Yeah, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. I mean, one camera, you're looking at, I know you're getting high volumes of calls from the north side, but, at times we have calls on the south side as well.
I agree.
I just want to protect everybody.
Oh, no, you're perfectly fine, and I got a good one for that. Brittany, you go ahead.
Yes, so I was hearing what you were saying, and what a lot of cities and agencies like to do is they roll out their initial plan on coverage in the areas where they kind of have their most concerns. But the great thing about Flock is that you can grow to scale and it's adjustable. So even though you would initially sign, say, a 12-month contract, at any given time, if you would like to reload cameras or add cameras, you can do that. We can work with your budget, we can make adjustments, and so sometimes you place a camera and you realize you would rather have it somewhere else. So just know that the initial phase is to get you the safety going and just proof of purchase. Let you kind of see how the results are going to play out, where else you might like to initialize additional technology throughout your city, and then also see the return on investment that you would get by implementing Flock.
And if you know, council, as you guys were talking about, something like 77,000. But as I mentioned in the email, I was going to be asking the council for 100,000 for that exact reason. That if we get $75,000 worth of cameras, but we recognize we need $100,000 worth, you've already approved Cheryl to make that purchase. But council, as you guys know, Chief just mentioned, Chief is down 4 officers right now, and it is highly competitive out there for a post-certified officer right now. The cost of this Flock system is 2 of those officers. In addition to helping the officers that are already here, which I would argue is a retention aspect to keep the officers we already have. But there is nothing stopping this council if we wanted to throw another $50,000 on top of the 100,000 we got. If we don't need it, we don't have to use it. We know right now we're going to deploy about $80,000 worth of technology. Giving Chief and Cheryl the ability to scale up if they find out in 6 or 7 months that they need more, it's already there. And obviously, we're going to be getting the fiscal year here at the end of September, so we're going to have an opportunity to really talk about this more when we get into budget season. So the amount that is set today is completely up to this council. I was going to ask you for 100,000, but we can easily ask for 150. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll spend 150. But if they see where we need more or less, we can adjust as need be. So what are your thoughts?
Could you ask Brittany, is the gunshot detector, that only comes per square mile?
Brittany, I know that it was, when we talked, it was either half a square mile and a mile. And we're getting the mile version, but talk about that. What are the ranges related to radio?
Yeah, so when we actually sit down and map it, it's based off of 1/4 and half and 1 full mile increments. So what we do is we try and piece them together. So this particular area just happened to be almost a perfect 1 square mile. I think it came out to 1.1. And so if there was another area that was a pocket, we would add that to it. And we always try and like just round down to the nearest 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2. And pricing is adjusted based off of every time you add those values.
So is it still on the 30,000, like a half a mile is 15 and a quarter is 7,500?
No, ma'am, it's 12,000 for 1/4, 20,000 for half, and 35,000 for 1 full mile. So the greater you get, the less it is. We also, if a school is ever in the area, we will do a discount for schools as well. And Ms. Cheryl, I did find a grant for you that you can petition, yes. It's something I was gonna let y'all know tomorrow. I just got all of the details today. So move forward with this project, but it would help fund a future project as long as you include schools in it, and the funds will be available October the 1st of this calendar year.
Okay, great, thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions for Brittany? Brittany was gracious enough, she was riding, I could hear it. Brittany said, let me pull over. Anything else from Brittany? All right, Brittany, listen, we appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Of course, thank y'all. Bye.
Yes, ma'am. So council, you got the overview and obviously some more specific questions. I think in what I've heard that, I'm ready to ask this council for a motion, but I guess I just want to make sure that what amount we set on. Again, it's going to start at 100. You guys trying to increase that, or you just want to wait and see?
I'm good with 100.
Okay. All right. And again, what you have on paper is now 80 with the additional camera. So you still got a little change left over. If that's how you guys want to do it. All right. So at this time, council, is there a motion to approve the flock camera system proposal as submitted, contingent upon review by our city attorney and authorizing the mayor to sign for up to $100,000 per year? Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion proper second. Any discussion? All right, council, the only thing that I want to say to the public here, so that we're all on the same sheet of music, all right? This system is designed for when stuff happens, right? And hopefully as a deterrent for folks. You come to the city of Camilla and you fire a weapon, odds are we're gonna get a picture of you and what you're riding in. This is probably not where you want to come with that foolishness. That's the number one purpose of this. If you got ill intent, you might want to go somewhere else. You don't want to come to the city of Camilla with that silliness. Because odds are, we're going to get a picture of you, know what you're riding in, what you look like, the whole nine. So that aspect of the system I love. But I want to make sure everybody is clear. The best crime fighting tool that you can give any police department is a thriving economy. That's your biggest crime fighting tool. Folks working, good education, good health. This is how you keep your community safe. If we're ignoring that 40% of our children are going to bed hungry every night, you can have all the flock systems in the world. You can't have flock and ignore the economy. So over the course of the next 6 months or so, we're going to be asking this council to make investments not only in this technology, but also in our citizens and in our economy. We cannot be a community about just locking people up. We got to be a community of giving folks hope too. So just understand that there are contingencies that come with this type of system. You just don't stop with multiple cameras everywhere. We need multiple jobs everywhere. We need multiple urgent care everywhere. We need education everywhere. So just want to make sure everybody understands that we're just not stopping with this particular system. All right. Any other comments? All right, council, we have a motion that has been properly seconded. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, council. Thank you, chief.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, number 4, heavy equipment lease. Luke?
All right, so our lease for our heavy equipment, it includes 2 backhoes and 1 excavator. That was a 5-year lease, it's up in June. It's time to renew, so we reached out, we got new numbers from Caterpillar and also John Deere. And as y'all see the sheet in your package. So John Deere was significantly less for equivalent equipment, which was going to be the proposal to go with that. But today, we got one back from CAT to extend the lease on the current equipment we have. And that's that sheet I passed out. Right on the thing. Still got it. I would say we need to reevaluate this with new information for this extended lease for the equipment we currently have. It'll be a 2-year lease. And with the EPT, that's basically the warranty and service package with that for power training and hydraulics. And that would come out a little less a year than what we're paying now. I believe about 32 if we went with all the pieces of equipment. However, with the excavator, with the 308 and 5 John Deere, we look at those because we need a longer reach based on our needs for the equipment. And the old equipment was for 305 CAT. So if we keep any of the old equipment in the lease by 2 years, it'll be backhoes. No matter what, I believe we should go with the John Deere excavator. I know where the decision is, it would not exceed $44,721.60 a year. And that was the original John Deere proposal.
Now, is that for new equipment?
The John Deere is for the new equipment, the
So you
44,000.
send the old stuff back, this will be for brand new equipment. No,
The John Deere would be,
that's.
yes. No, if we take in the proposal to extend by 24 months of our current equipment.
But still more than John Deere's rate, even if, I get a.
No, so this sheet is all brand new equipment.
I know, I went by what you just gave us, at 2 years, it's about $50,400 a year. If we're going by that 24-month payment thing. So at 2 years, the CAT numbers are still more than John Deere. But if you got on the 24-month payment, if you add those three numbers up.
Are you
and then
looking
divide
at,
it by two, with what we just got a minute ago, 39.6, 39.6, 21,420.
I think we did that one, it was like 32,000. No, so that's a purchase option after 2 years. So we're looking at the far left.
So I'm looking at the wrong column.
Yeah. So the purchase option, we have a purchase option right now for the current equipment. The sheets in here goes like 54,000 per backhoe and 30,000 for the excavator.
I just remember a conversation when we bought the truck at the airport
Yeah,
that said we probably already paid for this twice or something in the lease payment. So that, I mean, that's just kind of coming back. I mean, what does it cost to buy one? But then do we have to do our own maintenance?
we would.
Okay.
So the mile option currently for that equipment is around 54,000. So doing the lease on the equipment for 2 years, the new buyout would be 39, almost 40,000. So we still are paying towards the equipment if we want to do a buyout 2 years from now, but we can plan for that if we want to keep the old equipment. This will be 5-year-old equipment though versus new equipment from John Deere. Regardless of, we need to evaluate the 420s and see if we want to keep these backhoes with a purchase plan in place to buy one. We need a new excavator though, because the current 305 we have doesn't have the reach we need. Yeah, well, even the 308 and the 50P John Deere isn't big enough for the sloughs. We can reach sloughs like on Iona and Andrews, but the one behind Haley. But we can't reach the slough head out at 97. Not for this one. For that one, I would recommend that we rent or even contract that out. But we can rent an excavator for a month and get that stuff.
So let me make a recommendation. So Luke, Cheryl, can you provide the council with your written recommendation next Monday night?
We didn't get this stuff. It just came in, but we weren't even aware that they were willing to offer this option. All we have is new equipment, but it seems to think the usual, we can these over there.
I believe the backhoe, the used backhoes, and we'll look up around. And it may be where we keep one used backhoe and go with a new John Deere, which should cut the price monthly by about $300 a month for lease. That may be an option too.
Now, you don't run a comparison to, say, compared to buy or rent monthly, that what you will come back with?
Well, the equipment we currently have, we have that price
Yeah.
to actually purchase it now. So, yeah, we can look at all of it.
I think I would like for you to look at all of it and maybe the best thing to do is buy it, with the maintenance. Okay. I don't know, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
I mean, equipment's still in good condition, so, I mean.
The two backhoes are good.
Now, you don't know better than anybody. You use them.
We could buy the two backhoes for, it would be around 110,000. for both backups,
And then we don't.
and then we don't release. No, that wouldn't include the excavator. We could buy the current excavator we have for $30,000, $31,000.
But you're saying we need a different.
Oh, we need a different one. I wanna buy that one. I would look at leasing a different one, or even buying a used one.
So council, are we in agreement that we will postpone this vote, give Cheryl and Luke an opportunity to give us a more comprehensive recommendation and to Councilman Palmer's point, Luke is using this stuff every day. So whatever he brings back here in terms of what his needs are as it relates to the mission, I don't think any of us in a position to question that. So if he comes back and says, this is what I need, this is what it's gonna cost, at least give you an opportunity as a council to evaluate the cost of it. The operational piece, he obviously has that in the back, so are we good?
Is next week too soon?
We have all
We got everything we need, just, that's what we're
Okay.
doing for the
Yeah.
meeting, trying to.
We'll just vote on next one.
All right, so, okay, perfect. And just to make sure that our agenda is cleaned up, council, is there a motion to postpone item 4 until City of Camilla, council meeting on March 12th? I'm sorry, May 12th, 2025. Is there a motion to postpone this item until then?
Second.
That motion properly second, any discussion? All in favor? All opposed, motion carries. All right, thank you, council, appreciate it. All right, the Seniors Community Recreation Event approval, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
City Manager, and colleagues here around the table, and also our citizens. I'm very excited to say that we are trying to do something for our seniors. This year, we're going to be hosting a sneaker ball for our seniors from the ages of 62 and above. And also, we're glad to have been, to partner with Jordan Moving Forward and sponsoring this sneaker ball. And this event will be catered, and also we will have a DJ as well. But what I'm asking this council tonight is for a budget to take care of this that would not exceed $5,000. And we hope that we will be able to do this, including a proposed budget for our upcoming budget, so that we can start a senior program that would kind of start line monthly, having them something to do throughout this year. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to leave off with that and turn it back over to you.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mayor Pro Tem? All right, council, at this time, is there a motion to approve a budget not to exceed $5,000 for the Seniors Community Recreational Event? Known right now as the Sneakers Ball. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Sir.
Have a motion is properly second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, council. Council, item 6, GMA District 10 officer selections. As you're aware, if you're not aware, especially for our public, the Georgia Municipal Association, which we're a member of, represent all 537 cities in the state of Georgia. And those cities are broken down into regions, or districts rather. Here in Camilla, we're in what's called District 10. That includes, just to give you some of the cities, a whole bunch, but just to give you a couple of them. City of Camilla, Pelham, Albany, Cairo, Blakely, just to name a few. Thomasville, Moulton, awesome cities here in the region. For those of you that are not aware, we have district officers that represent our district. So what's happening here in Southwest Georgia, we take that to the board of GMA. If you're not aware, I've had the pleasure of being president of this district for the last 2 years. Typically, it's a year, but through, some other events, if you will, I had the pleasure to be in this position for almost 2 years. And it's been an absolute pleasure. And typically the president rolls off after each year. But obviously that didn't happen last year. I stayed on for another year, thanks to the election of our member cities, which I'm grateful for. But now this year, it is time for me to roll off. And what happens is the first vice president moves up to president, second vice president moves up to first vice president. What becomes vacant is the third vice president slot. And as you see from your packet, the Austin Council Member, and I think he's acting mayor right now over in Cairo, will be is being nominated for that particular role, and we're happy for him. And the nominating committee, which is myself, the district officers from District 10, and 3 other elected officials that I have to picked them last month, and all 6 of us got together with our district rep, and we came up with these particular names to be nominated, and specifically the third vice president. I am the voting delegate for our city, and we do this in Savannah every year in the summer, in June. Council, obviously, I just go up there and, yeah, the city of Camilla said X, Y, Z, D, and E, but I like, we didn't have to do this last year, obviously, but I want to make sure you're good with this also. So my ask today is to, well, first, let me ask this. Are there any objections to the names that's on that list? Okay, all right, hearing none, council, is there a motion to authorize the mayor to vote on behalf of the city, the nomination list for District 10 officers as submitted? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion properly second, any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. All right, item 7, as you recall, council, at the beginning of the meeting, we added the item to amend the position classification plan to add an assistant city clerk position using pay grade 19 under the financial services position, using the mid pay range starting for that particular position. And Cheryl and HR can get that, if approved, we'll be able to get that into position classification plan, pay plan, all nice and neat. And because of this, and the reason why we're doing this, there will be, and I'll be asking you to amend the agenda again, because we have to, for the reason why we're actually doing this. So, but let's have that piece first. Because regardless of what we vote on here in the next item, this position is long overdue based on the operational tempo of the city. We've been moving everybody. I'm talking moving. And it's been shown all over this state. So this position is needed regardless. So at this time, is there a motion to amend the position classification plan to add an assistant city manager with the pay grade, mid pay grade of 19 under the financial services position to mirror that position? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is properly second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I think it's time that we start advertising for a permanent city manager. We are long overdue on that office, and we need to be doing that now rather than making a position for an assistant city clerk.
Yeah. Obviously, by virtue of me asking for the motion, I respectfully disagree for a host of reasons. One of which we just talked about roughly 20 minutes ago with TTA. we've got an issue dealing with a spray field that was sitting somewhere for almost 2.5 years. Because Cheryl has, respectfully, her tentacles everywhere. She asked a very basic question. Why are you coming in my office to repair a pump? That question led us to a 2.5-year-old doctor, where we had 2 city managers prior to that. Now, that's not to say anything bad about them, but it's a fact. For all we knew, we were done with the spray field. But obviously we're not, right? That's a fact. By virtue of the vote you just took 3 items ago, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure that in the future we may want to advertise for a more permanent city manager, if you will. But what I do know, just based off of experience, when Cheryl Ford is sitting in the seat, we're getting awarded CDBG, Visionary Cities, getting recognized on the House of Representatives up in Atlanta, the State House. We're asking basic day-to-day operation questions like, why am I paying for a new pump, which leads to a letter from EPD from 2.5 years ago. That's what we're getting from Cheryl Ford sitting in this position. But you want to know the real rub? The $100,000 that we're paying her right now, $65,000 of it is to be the city clerk. Let me say that again. Cheryl Ford is the co-animal control officer, city manager, city clerk, and I would argue our chief administrative officer anyway, by virtue of the job that she does. She's making $100,000 a year, and we just did that a couple months ago. But $65,000 of that is just for city clerk. The last 2 folks that were sitting in this position, one of them made $180,000 a year without those extra duties, and the other one 135 to about 140. So on average, we paid those folks good men. I don't have a problem with them, to be completely honest with you. But Cheryl was doing that job for roughly $60,000 less with additional responsibilities. As I mentioned at the motion side of this, it doesn't matter whether when we get to the next item or not. The operational tempo, y'all see this agenda. I know for some, this council meetings used to last 15 minutes in this time. We haven't had one of those in 3.5 years. There's a lot of work that Cheryl has to do in that office. And I would encourage anyone who doesn't come up here on a regular basis, stick your head in the door and see what I'm talking about. She needs, the city needs, let me correct that. The city needs an assistant city clerk. Cheryl's been with the city now 11 years, everybody. 11. And she's been going to bat for this town since day one. We need an assistant city clerk. regardless. Whether you get a new city manager or advertise for a new city manager, you need an assistant city clerk to absorb some of these administrative duties. You just do. And they keep asking her to do it at the current pay rate isn't fair. Dare I say it. So, yeah, I get it. Any other comments? And again, council, this is to amend the position classification plan to create a position for assistant city manager. We don't have one of those.
This is a city clerk.
Assistant city clerk, thank you.
I do agree with Mr. Palmer in that we need a permanent city manager, but in the meantime, Cheryl needs to train somebody else in that position. And I think that it would be a smart thing for us to pursue some help in that department at this time. I think that the pay is fair and, Jared, you can do just about anything you want to.
And just for
But
that-
again, going forward, I just think that it's always nice to have an assistant that knows the ropes as well, and we've been long overdue, I think, for that position.
And just to clarify, Councilmember Marine, when you mentioned that you believe that the pay is fair, you're talking about the incoming assistant city clerk.
Yes, yes, the salary that we talked about on the pay grade, I think that is acceptable. And, you know, there are a lot of people looking for jobs. I had 2 people today that are looking for people with jobs like that in Camilla. I hope we can find someone.
Indeed. And by approving this council, well, any other council members? Okay. The beauty of this, once you approve this council, it then, it's on Cheryl at that point to figure out the best way, either initially or long-term, how to do that position, if you will. We have reduced our footprint, our government footprint, from the citizens that are not aware, and I've mentioned this before, in the last 2.5 years, we've reduced payroll here in the city of Camilla by almost $500 million. If you're not aware. And the roads are still rolling. And the buildings are still standing up. And the bathrooms are still getting upgraded.
Oh, but this one over here could use a little recall. That's down the hall right there. Speaking of it,
So, and we have to skip a beat. But there are some offices that are so sensitive, like the city clerk's position, that how we're moving right now as a city, we need that extra person. And that may be a contractor, that may be someone ready to work. The good news is, once the council appropriates the money and creates the position, that's up to Cheryl on how she wants to do that. So, all right, any other comments? All right, council, we have a motion that has been properly seconded. Again, council amending the position classification plan to add assistant city clerk, grade 19, mid-salary range, from near the financial services pay band. All right, any other comments? All right, Madam Clerk, this will be a roll call.
Councilmember Green,
yes.
Councilman Garland,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Collins,
Yes.
Councilman Maples,
Yes.
Councilman Palmer.
No.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 7, and again, what created, or what put it this way, what brought this to light, or put it up front, if you will, was the fact that we're in a market for a election superintendent. Our previous election superintendent, with all of the talent, that she has, someone else knows that talent too. And, has another opportunity. This position here is obviously, as election superintendent, is more or less a part-time position. So we really can't blame anybody for wanting to continue to move forward, if you will. And typically, that position has been in-house. So council, what I'm gonna ask is if there is a motion to amend the agenda, and again, I mentioned this to the council in my email, and I didn't mention at the top of the deal, but understanding why we had to create the assistant city clerk position. I'm gonna ask if there is a motion to add as an action item the consideration of election superintendent, specifically Sheriff Ford, to act in that role. So, any questions on the council? Is there a motion to amend the agenda to add the action item in consideration of Sheriff Ford becoming City of Camilla election superintendent? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Sir.
Have a motion properly second. Any discussion?
As I have said in the past, I think it's high time that we partner with this county to handle our elections. We seem to be doing on a merry-go-round with election superintendents. And Cheryl has said in this room many times that she does not want that job, doesn't like that job. But here we are going back at it again. So I think it's time that we go contract with the county to do our elections.
I agree with Councilman Palmer. At the February meeting, I expressed my concerns regarding the last election. There were several things that probably could have been done better. And with the subsequent resignations, at the 11th hour, just from past experience, I too feel strongly with Councilman Palmer that we perhaps could move in a direction with the county with our elections.
I just add to the comments, just on issues with election that there has not been none, and folks are seeming to forget all of the other circumstances that brought us to that point for the last election, and I think that that's important to consider as well. And I think I said this too at that point when we were discussing contracting with the counties, that there have not been issues before to a certain point. I think maybe 2019 with how elections have been ran in the city of Camilla.
Indeed. And if everybody didn't, if you didn't hear me earlier, Cheryl's been here 11 years. Of those 11 years, I would argue the majority of those, Cheryl was involved in election in some capacity for the majority of those 11 years. And I will remind everybody that for the majority of those 11 years, folks are filling out their ballot on this, on a piece of paper. And to Councilman Morgan's point, whatever issues over this last election had absolutely nothing to do with the core components of how the election was run. That's a fact. This is something totally separate that was introduced to the election. Had nothing to do with how we were moving as it relates to the job that was being done leading up to election day. So I just want to make sure folks understand that. as challenging as that was.
I don't wanna have to beg the differ on that, I don't wanna be a dead horse, but there were some things that went wrong along the way, now they were corrected. But there were some things that were corrected, some things that weren't corrected, and, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and beg your differ.
You probably got the right balance.
That's right.
When you vote.
Yeah, I think there are systems in place that helps with that kind of stuff, and I think as Councilmember just mentioned, was corrected.
They were corrected.
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. And then also, the good news is Cheryl was finally able to get a hold of the person that's gonna help us get the poll pass in here, this time around. So, I mean, by all accounts, we're not gonna have from my perspective, the exterior drama that surrounded our election. Hopefully we'll just be straight down the deal where folks go in and vote, do their thing, and we continue to move forward. But in terms of knowing our system, from my perspective, there's no one better at that than Sheriff Ford. All right.
I just have a question, do we know if the county has a November election plan?
Well, it's just Secretary of State, it's on his list.
Okay.
Now, whether they have.
Because in the past, it's always been city election one year, county election another year, so it might be difficult this year if there's not already an election in place.
They still got time to get that in place.
All right, and just again, everybody, the motion is to amend the agenda to appoint Sheriff Ford as the election superintendent for the city of Camilla. Again, that's to amend the agenda, it's not the actual vote. Okay, any other comments? All right, we have a motion that's been properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Councilmember Green,
No.
Councilman Burley,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Collins,
No.
Councilman Maples,
Yes.
Councilman Palmer,
No,
Mayor votes yes. Measure passes. All right, council, at this time, is there a motion to appoint Sheriff Ford as the city of Camilla election superintendent with the total pay rate of $130,000 per year? That is inclusive of all of our positions, to include election superintendent. So again, council, is there a motion to appoint Sheriff Ford as the election superintendent with a pay rate of $130,000 per year, effective immediately? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion is properly second, any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Councilmember Green,
No.
Councilman Burley,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Collins,
No.
Councilman Maples,
Yes.
Councilman Palmer,
no,
Mayor votes yes, motion carries. All right, thank you, council. All right, at this time, we'll move to our discussion items. Item number 1, budget discussion. Councilmember Green.
Okay, I'll be as brief as possible. I know that we have budget coming up, and I wanted us to be proactive instead of reactive, and certainly not be in the same situation we were in last year, as far as operating off of a previous year budget. I've heard 2 or 3 different things that I just wanted to get for sure. Our fiscal year is from when to when? Can someone answer that question for me?
October. It starts in October.
So we go October 1 to September 30. Okay, awesome. All right, so according to the city charter, which we, 60 days prior to the end of the fiscal year, so that's ending in September. So that's gonna be, 60 days prior to that, you got 30 days in September and August, so in July, we would expect a proposed budget. And also something that I have not seen before was the charter calls for a capital improvements plan with proposed financing. So I don't know if that's in existence, but hopefully, for example, if you wanted to buy the new equipment, it might be on last year's capital improvements plan. I didn't know if we do a capital improvements plan, something like the spray field, the drainage issues, the large equipment purchases, and any construction might go on that, just a thought. And budget hearings are, those normally in July, is that correct?
They start in July.
Okay, and there will be 3, is that how, I know there were last year.
Yeah, so we do 3, 2 is required, so we do 3.
Alright, and then what I left with y'all, and I like a hard copy, I don't know if you do or not, it was sent to us electronically. But there were just some points that I wanted to bring up, and I'll be very quick, it's just in the revenue section. I'm not a big fan of other, I know you need other, but when there's an other, if we might could specify out to the side of that. For example, on the first page, we've got a $75,000+ revenue that just says other. I personally would kind of like to know where that came from. I'm not denying. I think, we're gonna certainly have more revenues from the depot. And I know that I had the records for not the fiscal year, but for the year of 2024. And the depot has done really well. If you look at those numbers, we are almost breaking even from what's coming in as far as what's being spent, cleaning, utilities, and that kind of stuff. And, I can't remember, to Mr. Jester's question about exactly how much was spent, but it's a it was a good thing, you know, and like I said, I don't have it in front of me, I haven't put a folder at home. But those revenues have been worked out really good, they just, would be a little bit higher, I think they haven't been updated. My other question, and y'all probably know the answer to this, I don't. There's about $500,000 in ARPA revenues. We will not get that next year. Is that correct?
There is $500,000.
In ARPA revenue. It's just like one of the last lines is like ARPA. It's in the revenue section. But with $11 million in the general fund, with that much, it was a large percentage. And if we're looking next year,
No, that's a little different. So with the ARPA funds, because there wasn't a enterprise fund that generated that money from ARPA was not generated here locally. That was, for all intents and purposes, a federal grant.
right,
But if you bring that money in, you have to account for it some kind of way. So it's called the revenue, but
okay.
that's not technically what it is, but you have to account for it.
So that's not going to be accounted for next year.
No,
It's an upcoming budget that we're looking to do.
No,
It will not have an ARPA $500,000 fund.
absolutely will be.
Oh, it would?
Yeah, because remember, we have to spend all of our ARPA funds by the end of December of 2026. We were required to provide to the Treasury, no later than, no later than April 30th, that we had allocated all of our ARPA funds. All of the ARPA funds we did not allocate, we would have to pay the Treasury back. I was responsible for creating that document. So let the public know, City of Camilla got their submission in on time, a week early, as a matter of fact.
All right.
So it is roughly about $500,000 that's remaining that needs to be expended. But that's locked. We did that in December. We decided what we were going to spend that remaining money on. Remember, we had that conversation.
Right, exactly. I
So,
remember,
yeah.
that's why I was wondering if.
So it'll still be there. It'll still be there.
There is another item that's in revenues, and again, not to be formally discussed, but I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. In the last fiscal year, it never came in. And it's insurance premium taxes, and it's $475,000.
So say that again?
Insurance premium taxes, and I went back to the budget that I was given from, anyway, the one before that we were working off of, and just on that large amount of money, again, if it's not gonna be there to be spent, or if it didn't come in, again, just a question.
Well, I can answer that for you. So if you're not aware, and it's for the public also, we get a refund check from the insurance, from the state. That's a one-time check, if you will. So if you haven't seen it, you will.
It just had not come in.
That is absolutely right. That may be the issue.
All right, well, thank you. And then, the last thing, you know, in our last meeting, we discussed, and we talked to the engineer who was doing the studies on the 3 areas that had drainage problems. Last year's, on that same budget that I was looking at, we took in, $139,000 and some change in stormwater fees, and through March of this, that you all have in front of you, we've taken in about 91,000. And I just wanted us to perhaps look and think if we could take that money and put it towards where we're going on those new projects. And that's all I have with the budget discussions. Again, I'm trying to look ahead, and I encourage you to as well, so that we can be proud of, getting us a good budget to run off of and not running off of years.
Got it. So just so that, let me clean up a couple of things, that you mentioned, Councilmember. First, we were talking about operating, not getting in a position where we operate off the budget for the previous
Right,
year.
let's get some in
Yeah,
place and
yeah,
approved.
but I think it's important that the record is clear on why that happened. We were down, I want to say, 2 council members.
Right.
You wasn't here, and Councilman Maples wasn't here. In the city of Camilla, it takes 4 votes to do everything. There was a discussion or an issue with how the library was funded. So we had 2 council members that would not approve the budget unless we approved that funding for the library. So I want to make sure that that wasn't an operational issue, that was a political issue. And obviously, just plain bad luck, we were down 2 council members. So I want to make sure that we're clear on that. The second deal as it relates to the capital improvement. The capital improvement is always submitted now. It's inside of the budget. So inside of the budget, each line item, each major line item will say, there's a capital expenditures. So the city manager's capital expenditure or capital improvement is inside of the budget itself. So when you look through the budget and you'll see it, it'll say capital expenditures.
Right.
Police officers, new cars, building repairs for XYZ D&E. So I just want to make sure that the impression is that the capital improvement plan
So it's not a separate, it's within our budget.
is within the budget.
Okay, gotcha. It's
And
there.
is there, yes, ma'am.
And you know, I have Tim Hayes of questions, but she's been so busy.
Sure.
I didn't wanna, all right, those were just the biggies right off the bat.
No, that's
And
it.
I've got until July, so.
And my last point is that some of the things that you mentioned, that's what those 3 budget hearings are for.
Gotcha.
That gives each council member an opportunity to make changes that they see inside of the budget. Take that line item out, add that, so forth and so forth. And at the end of the day, if 4 council members, when it's time to approve the budget, agrees with that, then we move forward. So you'll have an opportunity to do all of that.
Thank
you. Yes, ma'am.
I
Yes, ma'am.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Designated historical properties, Councilmember Paul.
Well, as we, at the council meeting last month, it was brought up about a house on South Scott that wanted to be removed from the historic requirements. And so they, council voted, they were allowed to do that. They turned in their plat that had been presented to them. And so they are now not an historical property. But inside of that, document that we have approved, there is a stipulation that you cannot move a house that's a historic, property, building outside, you can't move it out of the city of Camilla. And so I want that to be in place to protect the few houses that we have left in the city of Camilla.
Yeah, I think if the intent is to make that an action item, I would have to respectfully disagree for a couple of reasons. The first is that inside of the ordinance for the historical house or homes or properties, if you will, you can't move a property without council approval anyway. So that's embedded inside of the current ordinance. If it's a historical home or historical property, you can't move it regardless, unless the council tells you that you can. I'm in the position that if the council decides that you are no longer a historical property, that you're free at that point to do what you will with your property. And I'll be honest with you, if you're no longer a historical property, I would have an issue with government coming in and telling the private landowner or property owner what they can do with their private property if they're no longer a historical property. And I think that would be inherent if the council says, hey, you're no longer a historical property, that we're in essence giving full permission back to that homeowner to operate your property as you see fit.
Is the only way you can get off the list to be voted on by this board? Are you on there? The historical properties that exist, you can't get off unless it's voted by. Is that correct?
Historic, what happened is the historic council came back and recommended that it be removed
Gotcha.
by the council.
Okay, so there's a process. Kind of like the zoning, there's a process, kind of like the zoning, you gotta go
Right,
through.
but
And then they make a recommendation.
by not having something in place, we are gutting and destroying our history from other groups. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Because people, we've already had several houses that were moved, one of them was down in front of the Methodist Church, that was moved out of this county down to, Thomas County. And it can happen again, many times. So if we don't have something in place, we're wide open, because all you gotta do is go in and ask to be taken off the list. Bam, you can move out of here in short notice.
Well, I think that's the due process though. If the council says you're off the list, that's the protection. If the council wants to make sure you don't move your house, the council can say your request to be removed is denied.
Do we know how many properties?
Or
How,
Third.
my question was how many properties?
yeah, that's in the neighborhood.
About 30.
It just applies to those properties.
Right, right.
That needs to be perfectly clear. It's not every house or building.
Right, it's just-
That's not what,
Gotcha.
it's not what it's saying.
Yeah, that's right. So if the council says you're off the list, I think that's the stopgap, if you will. That's the barrier that prevents the house from moving. No, you cannot get off the list. Thank you for your request. Have a nice day. House stays in the building. That's it. If the council says yes, you can be removed. You're free to do whatever you want to with your property. So I think there is a mechanism already in place, and that's
Say no.
the stay up. You can't come off the list. So, but as always, Councilman, it's a discussion item, but the intent is to make a motion to make that an action item for next week to create that ordinance or that amendment to that ordinance. And obviously, of course, you're always free to do that, so.
Well, the ordinance already exists that a historical property cannot be moved
Without council approval. Yes,
without
ma'am.
council, without
Also,
approval.
council money.
Okay.
Now, one thing that council is probably falling short on is that in other towns, they have a landmark society or a landmark corporation or whatever, where you can do a 501c3 and money can be donated, put in there to help, like these people that needed windows, to match funds with them or some type of mechanism to help them. We're not doing that. We should be doing that.
So maybe that's the motion.
That's something that needs to be really close to looked at, because I think we need to do it.
Honestly, I think that's a pretty good idea. Madam Attorney, because, and of course, council, as you know, the city council has the ability to create a nonprofit. So, Madam Attorney, I don't know if you heard Councilman Palmer, but his suggestion, which I think is good, is to explore creating some type of landmark or historical nonprofit that can accept donations. That if we have a historical property owner, that the issue is you don't have the funds to, do your windows or do whatever the case may be, this nonprofit can come in and help you do that, thus keeping the property historical and helping the family out. So is it possible for you to explore what that would look like, the city of Camilla creating a nonprofit for that purpose?
Yes, I can definitely do some research on it. Something that I've looked into previously for other clients, but yes, and I will say off the top of my head, I know that there are very kind of strict, or not really restrictive, but very fleshed out guidelines around historic preservation in the state of Georgia. And I believe that your historic commission that you have currently is really the medium that the city would use to do something like that. But I'm gonna look into it a little bit more. Again, I have a lot of research on it, so I can actually provide that to the city council just for clarification. But again, I think it can be done, and also I think whatever guidelines the state and or the city, via the city's ordinance we have to follow, I think we should abide by those as well.
Deal.
And that was gonna be my next question. How are we going to adjust our ordinance according to this?
And the good news is, if the mechanism is the board that triggers the historical deal, then there probably wouldn't be anything for us to do related to that. Because those folks, instead of coming to us, will go directly to the nonprofit and say, can you help? Indeed.
That'll take the council out of that.
Indeed. All right, good point. Awesome. All right, Madam Attorney, thank you. Good stuff. All right.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Council, item 3, and I was gonna do like a consent agenda type deal with 3 through 6, but we'll go ahead and get it real quick. The MDAG, training confirmation. Council, as you know, we've been doing this every year. It's worked out great for them over at Alltech, that they're getting good price for market price for the gas deal. They just need our help with that. You have that information in your packet. Just need to know, is there at least 3 council members going to move this to an action item the next week, authorizing the mayor to sign? But we don't have to talk about that part until next week. Is there at least 3 council members to move the MDAG trade confirmation the next week as an action item? Perfect, thank you. Item 4, beer, wine, all premises application for new manager, Patel, DBA, Beacon Food Mart. Again, these are pretty standard. Looks like we have some of our awesome business owners in here with us tonight. If there's no council, any questions for them, council, or no questions from them for us, at least 3 council members to move item forward as an action item for next Monday night. All right, thank you. Item 5, beer on-premises application new manager, Sai Harsha Farhan, Ray Loca and Cat, DBA Lucky Food Mart, 92 and 94 West Broad Street. Council, at least 3 council members to move this to an action item for next week. Perfect.
I have
Yeah,
a question about that. So when you change management, you have to reapply.
Well, that manager has to,
The manager.
the manager does.
Okay. Okay, so that's just kind of standard procedure. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Item 7. I'll do this real quick. All right. So council, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, we're gonna have to really continue. Right now, the city of Philly, we got our whole foot on the gas. I mean, we blowing through stop signs and everything in this city. This is how quick we're moving and getting stuff done. I think this sign in the middle of 19, and I haven't talked to the property owner yet to try to see what that would look like if we were to lease it or buy it, if you will. But imagine this, after you already come through our gateway signs, sitting on Highway 19 for folks passing it. This says, I might want to stop at this particular city and go downtown and see what this city is all about. This is, these types of additional gateway signage is really popping up all around this country. And really creating a festive type of feeling for our town. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let you all in on a little secret. These grants and some of this other stuff that we've been getting all these years, that stuff is drying up. We're gonna be on our own, as it should be. Local governments are responsible for its people. We are responsible for generating the revenue required to take care of our folks. If we brought another industry in here right now, another plant, right now, today, they were able to build a plant by the time this meeting is over, where would the workers stay? Where would they live? You bring another plant in here today, we're going to employ 300 people, and every day at closing time, 300 checks are going to head north, south, east, and west. None of those checks are going to be spent here. We're going to have to make the city of Camilla a destination spot. I know that there are some that believe we got to keep doing it like we've been doing it since 1857, but I can tell you that's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm not asking for anything tonight, council. But probably here in about another 6 weeks or so, I'm going to have a number for this and a recommended piece of land for this that I would want to present to this council for consideration. Only difference with, it's going to look just like that, but it's going to say Camilla We love Camilla.
And then at the bottom, and you will too.
We can do that. This is the type of innovation, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to make our own grease. We're gonna have to fry our own bacon. So again, there's no ask tonight. I just want to put this in your spirit. Here we sign our rules on application. So tomorrow, I'll be on a conference call with Roberts Engineering. They're gonna resubmit our rule application for us for free. And they're gonna do it for free because we believe that we scored pretty good this last time around, and we were just missing a couple of items. What does that mean? Remember we were talking about jobs and this type of thing. That's gonna bring us some job tax credits here for the city of Camilla. This rural zone designation is only good for cities that with populations of 15,000 or below. So this is uniquely for us. This is how we get new businesses in here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do the work. We just can't wait on 19 with cut and hope that people are gonna stop by. We have to give them the incentive. Hey, you need to build whatever you're building and bring your new company here because we're gonna give you some job tax credits. For every employee you hire, you're gonna get $3,000 a year for that particular employee for a number of years. There's ways that we can help ourselves. And I would argue in a Plan First community, we're looking pretty good. I'll be having that conversation tomorrow. But again, there's no ask here. Roberts Engineering is gonna do it for free because we're real close. And if we get this job tax credit, ladies and gentlemen, that is a game changer for our town. Game changer.
Sure. Just, did we do six? Did we do six? Did we go?
Yeah, we did all three at one time.
Okay. I didn't read it. I wanted to make sure we did this. Okay, sorry.
That's where you may be correct, right? Yeah.
We did all, you just said let's do them all at one time.
No, we did.
Yeah, I read 4 and 5.
We did 4 and 5.
Yeah.
We did 6, I think.
Yeah.
You just wanted to say that name.
Listen, brother, I know it's all love.
I really thought we included, you just didn't say the name, I'm sorry.
No, we're fine, but no, Councilmember, thank you.
I don't want to try to pronounce
Exactly, get it. Hey, Sheriff.
I'm writing it down.
So it's all good, but thank you, no, but that's important, that's important. So again, everybody, there's no ask for 7 or 8, but to Councilmember's point, number 6, beer, wine, all premises application, new manager, J. Kumar, C. Sutha, DBA, Harney Grocery Store, 79B, North Harney Street, there's 3 council members, action item next week. Perfect, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, number 9, Seniors Community Program Annual Budget Consideration. Been working obviously with the Mayor Pro Tem on this. We're having the speakers wall. This council graciously approved the budget for that, which is awesome. Thank you. We're going to have some seniors that are watching this extremely happy tonight that that's happening. I had the pleasure of Mayor Pro Tem saying, look here, I work. I got to get in this shop today. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to ride down to Gaston with Scarlett and have a look at their seniors program and see what we can bring back here. I'd rather that, Mayor Pro Tem, no problem, sir. rolled down. It was a great time. As a matter of fact, a day after the sneaker ball, I think the intent is to take some of our seniors down there and have a look at that facility themselves. But I had an opportunity to talk to their financial director, Quincy, yes ma'am. Had an opportunity to talk to their county finance director, one of their county commissioners, and get an idea of how they formulate their program. And what we're talking about starting here in Camilla is doing a bi-monthly deal. So every other week, have our seniors come in at the depot, music, food, health screens, exercise, games, and just normal everyday fellowship. We're taking care of our kids, but I think it's important that we take care of our seniors also. And the Ask Council, and we will probably, you know what, we probably won't have our program up before June, so probably at the June work session, look forward to a budget ask. For the upcoming fiscal year for 25-26, fiscal year 25-26, it actually is going to be $40,000 a year to fund this program. And that's going to obviously do a lot. And that equates to about $800 per meeting. And in June, what I'm going to ask is for the council to prorate that for the remainder of this fiscal year, so that we can get this program up and started before the new fiscal year. Our seniors, not only do they need it, they deserve it. Again, just kind of put that in your hat for right now, but just know next month, you're coming back and asking for that ask. So it'll be a prorated ask of $40,000 per year or $800 per bi-monthly meetings, and that may increase, hence that number of 40,000. Because if it hits off and it's good, we may improve that or increase that during the next fiscal year. All right.
So, don't want to hold up a budget or anything, but I'd like for us to consider supporting the library as well.
Well, let me tell you, and the fact that you brought that up, and there's going to be some conversations regarding that. And I told Madam Attorney that we wouldn't discuss it tonight, we're talking in June, but it looks like in terms of the referendum, there may be some issues with that. So.
Well, maybe we can decide it at the table.
Well, it is worth supporting, and I've told.
Another important, like, I think the senior citizens, I'm 100% behind that, but I'm also 100% behind let's support the library.
I walked in there and I told the person on duty, on all mouth, unsolicited, but I've been watching. And what we've been asking for is what we've been seeing. The ask for the library has always been about cost of living for library employees. It was never about the program at the library. That's the issue I had. When we're struggling to find police officers, to give them raises, folks that are not even employees of the city, that I'm going to give them a raise before I get my officer before he heads off to see what Flock is talking about. I had an issue with that. However, I can say the leadership over at that library right now and the accompanying Friends of the Library nonprofit, these folks are doing good work over there. And, my recommendation, once we got the budget time, was going to be somewhere, it used to be 40. Again, the county and the school board is doing 40 already. But remember, the city of Camilla is in both of those 40s. You guys are paying school taxes and county taxes. What I would say, instead of the $15,000 that we did the previous year, to bump that $10,000 to $25,000 versus the 40. I think that based on what they're trying to do over there in their programming is well worth it. I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you.
No, it's that they're doing the work. You can't argue with that. Okay. All right, and item 10, roadway improvements, Councilmember Moore.
Yes, so this is, to follow up to our April work.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I owe you 15 push-ups, sir, as soon as this is done. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, my apologies, sir. If you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
We'll have that discussion and, thank you once again for, helping me to, get this on the road because I got a lot of, they don't say seniors, they young seniors that are very, happy about what we're doing as a city to come together and have something to do. So, I'm pleased. So we're gonna keep working and do what we
So we're
can.
looking at twice a month. That's awesome.
All right. Councilman Moore.
Yes, sir. So a follow-up to the April work session, this roadway improvement updates is just around the proposed crosswalks discussion. At a few key intersections in District 1. Just to recap those locations, the Marietta Street, at both Butler and Palmer, Jester Homes at the Butler and Palmer intersections, and then, at Peachtree in OK, which would want, a new design, or the design in general. So just basically seeking an update on just the status of those designs, just where we are in that process.
I got a quote from a line striping company for standard pedestrian crosswalks, stop bars, and also to reduce some of these arrows and crosswalks at City Hall too. I do not have a design. I don't know what y'all have in mind. I mean, I don't have a mural or idea of what your image.
And when you're saying design, you're not talking about a picture, are you? You're talking about the function.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just the standard cross.
Oh, yeah, I got that then.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is get another quote. I have the price here, I can show you, I don't wanna announce the price because it wouldn't be fair to this company.
Yes.
But yeah.
Along with that, I want you to look in District 2 to see if we need some of those crosswalks in some areas that are possible dangerous for pedestrians, because we got people walking in District 2 just like mine.
So, yeah, on this quote, I have 10 crosswalks total, 14 stop bars. The stop bars are predominantly at four-way stops from most districts. To your point though, I
What is a
recommended
stop bar? I'm sorry.
the white bar at stop signs.
Oh,
So if
okay,
you miss the stop
I got
sign,
you.
that
That's where
white
you're
bar.
supposed to stop. Gotcha, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
It can kind of get someone's attention if they
It
miss
just
the
shows
stop.
you where, how far to pull up.
Well, it's the stop, it's that big white thing by the stop sign where you stop at.
You're supposed to stop in front of it or on?
Behind.
So stop in front of
Behind
you
it.
and see it. Yeah.
Okay.
So if the truck comes and cuts and runs into your car and you're above the bar, it's your fault.
But,
But that's a
I'll look
stop.
at a cross walk over there as well.
Yeah.
So does when you do the crosswalk, it will be the whole intersection thing, you do the crosswalk here, stop, okay, got it, thanks.
And to the point of most council members, and as it relates to District 1 and District 2 in that conversation, I want to remind everybody, this guy right here, talking about Councilmember Morgan, you get on my nerves sometimes because I'm sitting up there admiring all this useful energy, but this cat is out here walking his district. He's on his bicycle, riding that district. So what I would say is, if folks are concerned about what's getting where and this type of thing, you can leave it up to the city employee who isn't elected to anything to look and see what constituents might want. Or, as an elected official, walk it, ride it, however you want to do it, to see what the constituents need and bring it to the council. That's just a suggestion Okay, but I know for a fact, I've seen this guy covered in sweat. Right. Riding around. So it is, so yeah, so that would be my recommendation.
And I would just maybe ask, and I don't wanna add a job, but maybe if we could do this. Of what you're looking at.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not, but no.
We can add to that too. as
Yeah,
well,
that's what-
because I can make a project bigger than it is.
And I wanna agree with you, go for it, good job.
That's it.
I feel like I need to go out, I'm definitely not gonna be on a bicycle, but, I definitely need to do what you have done. I would commend you, that's awesome.
And, anything else on 10? All right, and number 11.
Yeah, so the last one, youth employment program, so, as many may know, we started this about 3 years ago as another just essential tool, to combat some of our poverty rates here in the community, and just also providing programming, and skill development for our youth. So definitely within our region, as we're seeing some instances of, uptick in violent crimes, I think programs like our youth employment program, are just as important as some of these public safety initiatives, as we approach them. And we are on brand this evening just with, preparing for this year's budget discussions. So I submitted some questions to, internally the city staff, to, hope to get some responses back, just on our program, where we are as we start to consider, funding it, in its fourth year. And I'll read through a few of those questions, not that deal, but, just the first is providing a total number of youth workers, that have been employed through this program, since 2022. Looking at when does like a typical work cycle end for youth participants, and then just the current funding levels of the program and how much remains. So just look forward to reviewing those as we move into the budget discussion cycle, to ensure that we're keeping this program available for the youth in the community.
Indeed. And you said staff has that list?
Yes, absolutely, sir. I'll send it later this week. So what we got there. I sent it right before we came. Right.
That's it?
It is it.
Okay, perfect. Good stuff. All right. Councilmember Marie.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm good.
All right, Councilmember Moore.
Yes, I promote, take this time to promote the wellness, the family youth and wellness resource fair. It's happening this Thursday at the depot as well from 5 to 7. That's Family Connections. That's hosting that as well.
Councilman Paul. Just want to share this with you. Luke, anything? All right. Carol? All right. Y'all see this?
Yeah.
Let me do this. So, literally, every single parking spot was filled at the event that Mr. Pittman had this last Sunday. That was a Sunday night. Every single parking spot. Hundreds of folks that spent a tremendous amount of money in gasoline, hamburgers, potato chips. We got 8% of that. I want to declare tonight that folks come to the city of Camilla for things other than tragedy and so forth. What we have to do is enlist and partner with folks like Mr. Tiffany that has the innovation and the initiative to bring this kind of stuff to the city. And by all accounts, it was a pretty non-eventful evening. In a good way. This is the possibility when we made this an entertainment zone about a year and a half ago. We're going to market this to folks that want to put on concerts and everything else. The possibilities are endless, but we got to do the work. It's not going to happen by itself. And I'll be remiss. And Councilman Marine will get on me when his meeting's over. But there are more than 54 people at this deal. That'll come to her later on, and she'll get me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I went by about 9 o'clock and not only was the parking lot, but the grass, the side, you know, there were definitely a lot of people there. And I would be remiss to not say that something came out on Facebook. But I spoke to several constituents about it, and I don't know where it was. They're saying it was in Camilla. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But I think that overall, I think, like you said, I think it was a successful.
And that's the point that I want to make. It doesn't matter where it's at. You get 200, 300, 400 people together. If you can have a skirmish here and there, that'd be awesome. You with me? But that's not surprising. But what I will say, this was not, the advertising for this wasn't on the radio. It was social media and word of mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do this almost every weekend if we wanted to support the stuff that we need to do here. And by the sales tax that we're making off this kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you don't have to raise taxes. This is why you don't have to raise utility rates. And this is why some of the programs, and I won't mention it directly, but this is why some of the projects that we are suggesting will work. We just got to do the work. We can get the people here. We just got to do the work. So I just wanted to share it with you, and I'm sorry. Say his last name. Mr. James Eubanks, Executive Director, Mitchell County Development Authority. I want to give that man some kudos. I'm going to tell you why. Georgia is considered Hollywood of the East. We're making all kinds of movies in this state. Councilmember Palmer kind of touched on it a minute ago when he was talking about the historic properties that we have in this town. We've got some great filming locations in Mitchell County and in the city of Camilla. And Hollywood doesn't know we're here. We had a film account with the state of Georgia that lets all of these movie companies know, here's the pictures of some stuff that we have. You're doing a football movie, you need a stadium, we got one in Camilla. You're doing something that needs a historic background, we got it in Camilla. You with me? You need an old country road, we got them here in Camilla and Mitchell County. Bring your film crew down here. Pay those fees right here. But we have an account that's been dormant for 5 years. That account was with the Mitchell County Development Authority. I called the state last week, 10 days ago, and I said, hey, you need to unlock that and get that to the city of Camilla. And the mayor will take responsibility for that. I know a thing or two about filmmaking. We can't do it. Why? Well, it belongs to the Mitchell County Development Authority. I got to at least give them a call to see if they would allow that to be released to the city of Camilla. Okay. I didn't give, Mayor Eubanks, Mr. Eubanks, in his role as executive director there, so I guess it'd be Mr. Eubanks in that role. I didn't call him or anything. I just wanted to see. I get an email from the state of Georgia. Film coordinator. Talked to Mr. Eubanks. He said, absolutely. Cut it loose. He'll do good things with it. He's gonna do good for this county and for Camilla. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the kind of teamwork and partnership we need. I know some want to keep pumping up the craziness, but that right there, and I told him, we were just in Madison a few days ago, Madison, Georgia, for GMA board meeting. And I told him then, I said, brother, I'm gonna mention your name at our council meeting. Because that's how appreciative I am. And regardless of all the other background stuff, it's good to see that two mayors in a county that needs it the most are willing to work together and have conversations to move our city and our county forward. So I'm grateful to him for that. So with that, council, it appears we've reached the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Madam Attorney.
You're welcome.
How you doing?
Got her right on time.
We all